Hey, John, we got plenty of stuff to talk about here coming in. We'll follow along with that Mailata story, too, now that we just talked about it a little bit. We'll see what ends up happening there. Let's get into the Eagles a little bit, John. We've been running down our top 25. It's been a good list, I would say. I've been pretty impressed with you and Kratzy's list. I don't know how much change you could have in a list like this, but I didn't like where – I didn't like where Goddard fell, where Devontae Smith fell, where Cooper DeJean fell over Landon. Who else did I thought should have been higher? Baun at 11 we talked about that a little bit, but now we are down to number 6. Number 7 was Cooper DeJean, pretty crazy for the Rook. Number 8 was Landon Dickerson. Number 9 was Devontae Smith. John, I think that's where I would have put Coop right there. 9, below Quignon at 10. Well, I probably would have had Baun a little bit above her. And then you have Devontae, Landon. That would make more sense to me with those two guys ahead of Cooper. But I see why he did. I see why Ed did what he did to some extent. But now we're down to 7 with 6 on the radar, Johnny Mac. Number 6, we are down. We're reaching the conclusion of this list. Who is number 6 on the top 25 Eagles list from SI?
Well, again, I think it's a little bit too low, and that's Jordan Mailata, number 6, who, if you believe, it's interesting to me when I talk about pedigree a lot, and we all know Jordan's story by now, 7th round pick, and kind of amazing he was even a 7th round pick, and the Eagles invested that into him. But never played a down of American football, became an international player, got drafted. So he lost that exemption. They couldn't use him. Now they use it on Lakin Ali Al-Hahi. I always screw up his name.
Al-Hahi, yeah, whatever it is.
But he has an exemption. Jordan never had an exemption because he was drafted. And that meant they had to keep him on the roster, and they did. And I tell the story all the time. I remember by year 3, like people were forgetting about Jordan Mailata. It was like, all right, well, this isn't going to work. And why would it work? And it's kind of silly to think about it working. And now, I remember being in the back of the Eagles locker room, being the only one talking to him. The 1 year is on injured reserve because, he had a back injury, I think it was at the time, and couldn't practice, and he was a little bit down. And I think everybody, that would probably be year 2. I think everybody was kind of saying, all right, well, this isn't going to work. And then all of a sudden you go into, I guess it was the 21 season, injuries crop up. And I still remember his first game vividly because we're all saying, oh, this is going to be a disaster. They were playing San Francisco, and Nick Bosa was healthy, and you're like, this is not going to be good. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. And I swear to you, from that day on, he just took off like a jet. And to the point where he's become arguably the best left tackle in football. And I only say arguably because for whatever reason, people still go back to the pedigree and say, well, how could you put him ahead of Tristan Wirfs, who's having, by the way, surgery that broke yesterday, or somebody like that?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's better. PFF had him as the best player in football, regardless of position last year. Regardless of position.
Player, yeah. 95.2 grade on PFF last year. He had.
And he did make it. He didn't even make the Pro Bowl.
That is insane.
Now, he was second team All-Pro, so the people who know a little bit better did realize how good he was. And he did miss some time last season with an injury. So he missed, I think it was 4 games where Fred Johnson kind of persevered a little bit. So Fred deserves credit for that. But so a lot of people said that was held against him, but that's kind of bull crap. I mean,
still had over 1,000 snaps last year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, if you include the postseason. But remember, they played 4 games in the postseason. So, and that, but that the only point I say there is it matters in his playing. But remember, Pro Bowl, and I think a lot of people have trouble with this, and All Pro and all the awards, it's a regular season thing. Doesn't include the playoffs. And a lot of people say, well, it should. Well, it doesn't. So it doesn't. So missing 4 games in the regular season does hurt a little bit. But I mean, Pro Bowl, come on. He still hasn't made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, that's
but
crazy.
he was second team All Pro last year. And from the moment, so 2021, he was third of 83 when it came to his PFF grade. Third of 83 tackles who were ranked. 2022 was his worst year. He was 9th of 81. So he's still top 10. 2023, he was third of 81. And last year is number 1 of 81. And by the way, he was the second best in pass blocking and the best in run blocking.
Yep.
Just an amazing story. I talk about it all the time. An amazing player. Just, he's about 380 now. 6'8", and he's just incredibly athletic for being that size. You just don't see people that big and that strong that are athletic as Jordan Mailata. And Stoutland helped. He was the one who coined Stoutland University. So they're helping each other because now Stout gets all the merchandise. For charity.
Right. That's a big. That was a big coin. That name.
Yeah. Because he went on. He did that when they introduced the players. Yeah, exactly. And they said Jeff Stoutland University. And I bring that up because and Stoutland has said this to me on a couple of occasions. Usually when you get a player from college, even a top tier player, you're correcting something or you're trying to improve something they did wrong. He didn't know how to do anything. So Stoutland got him from the ground floor.
Right.
Didn't have to break any bad habits to rebuild. Sometimes that's easier. And in the case of Jordan Mailata, it's worked beyond anybody's wildest imagination. I always give Brian Baldinger and Ross Tucker a credit because they identified, and they're former offensive linemen, they identified very early to the point I kind of laughed at them. I admitted to them. I admitted to their face. I go, guys, settle down. He never played football before. And they ended up being right. But, and I also say this to Baldy and Ross, and good-naturedly, I would have liked to see you guys, what you were saying year 3 when he wasn't playing at all and everybody was kind of down on and saying this isn't going to work. Because even Stoutland said when he got his opportunity, we asked him, is he ready? And Stoutland, very honest, very Big Fangio-like, said, I have no idea. I hope so. But you don't know until you see it.
Right.
And so many people along the way, Jordan's giving credit to Joe Osman. People forget him. Smoking Joe, he calls him. Well, Raven Clark is a guy he talks, a veteran tackle. Tore his Achilles last year, was more of a practice squad guy, but knows how to play, was a big influence on him. And obviously Stoutland being number 1, but also Lane Johnson. Like, it's funny. I had a discussion with Jordan last year, and I asked him, I said, do you know what your PFF grades are? And he said, yeah, mainly from his wife, puts it in a group text because she likes to brag about it.
Right.
And rightfully so. And then he just went into, I shouldn't be higher than Lane. So that's the kind of respect he has for Lane Johnson. and Jason Kelsey and all those guys who sort of mentored him and as he grew up along the way. And now it's funny, guy who never played American football. You could argue he's the biggest leader on this team as well. He's become a captain.
Yep.
It's a really amazing story.
He's got an infectious personality too.
Oh, he's got a huge personality. People gravitate towards him. He's good at everything. The music stuff. It's weird. Some people are just like that. It's an amazing story that I think, and everybody knows it, and we've talked about it a lot, but it's still, we don't talk about it enough. What this has turned into.
It's incredible. It really is. And Momami points out when he brought up when he sang Tennessee Whiskey, he is a man of many talents. Can anybody in the chat, without looking it up, I know he was a 7th round draft pick. What was the actual number selection that Jordan Mailata was selected? If anybody gets it without looking it up, we'll give you some credit here on the show. John, how does he go up from here? Has he finally gotten over the hump, John, of, okay, it's time to give the guy some Pro Bowl nods, all right? Some first team All-Pro. How is this guy not made a Pro Bowl? I mean, this last 4 years, John, third out of 83, 9th out of 81, as you pointed out, 3rd out of 81, and 1st out of 81. And he doesn't have a Pro Bowl? Come on.
Pedigree, man. Pedigree.
Has he gotten over it? There you go. Villain got it.
Well, he did. The second All-Pro is second team All is more important than Pro Bowl. So
yes, it is. But still, I'd like to see it for the player. Look, John, we talked.
Well, normally you say it about contracts and all. He already got 2 contracts, $260 million
right. No, but I just think at the end of the day, you know what I mean. When a career.
Well, I think it'll matter when you're talking about Hall of Fame down the road.
Right.
I think it'll matter. But that's always, iffy anyway. Especially with positions that reporters and people have tough time understanding and grading, which I would say offensive line is one of them. We talked about how many players are on Hall of Fame trajectories. Jordan's entering his 8th season, I believe, and he's only 28. So he's got a chance to play 4 or 5 years at least at this level. And if he does that, he's a Hall of Fame player. And, still as late as 2021, I guess, when they started training camp, they wanted Andre Dillard to win the job.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
So, I mean, pedigree resonates far more than just.
Is that the year that Stoutland said that, by the way? We'll see if he's ready. Was that the Dillard year?
No, that was the year he was forced to play San Francisco. I forget. I'm probably conflating years. His first start was against San Francisco. But I have to look back. And that was when we just happened to talk to him that week, and it was like, I don't know. He was crossing his fingers like everybody else. And, it looked bad on paper, and it wasn't bad. He held up against one of the best pass rushers in football. And he just took off from there. He just took off. And even that year when they were going back and forth, it was a legitimate competition. Like, I've talked a lot about Tyler Steen. So if they had one practice, Dillard would start,
right,
and then the next Mailata, and then Dillard, Mailata.
I think Dillard got the first one too in camp at the start of camp.
Yeah, Dillard was first, and they kept going back and forth. So it was a legitimate competition. Then Dillard, I think, hurt him. I forget what the injury was, but he injured, and then Mailata. It was just Mailata's job. Very similar to last year with Tyler Steen when he got hurt. It was just mekhi Becton stepped in, and that was it. Except they were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it was a lot closer. Tyler Steen was getting all the first team reps last year, and I think he's going to get all the first team reps this year. So to me, it's not as much as a legitimate competition.
Yep, Ill Villain, by the way, got the draft selection. So put that in your knowledge bank, everybody listening. 233. Remember that. That's where Jordan Mailata was selected. Maybe we'll go down as one of the better Eagles offensive linemen in history. Dare I say that? I think he's on that type of trajectory. We will see. John, as he continues to develop and get better and better and better, I don't know how much better the guy can get. He's basically at the top of the league. But how about that left side of the offensive line, how him and Landon have kind of grown together. And now when I look at those two, I'm like, what a match made in heaven for the left side of an offensive line. I feel like those two are so complementary to each other. What do you have to say about the way that they play together and just how dominant the left side of the offensive line is?
Yeah, and they're like best friends on the team as well. Jordan was best man at Landon's wedding.
Wow, was he? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I knew he was at the wedding. I didn't know he was the best man, though.
Yeah. Might have been vice versa. I think it was Landon's wedding. I don't know. Some of the celebrity Eagles fans will correct me if I'm wrong. One or the other. They both got married, but yeah, they're really good friends. I mean, really good friends off the field. And yeah, best left side in football by far, I would say. And yeah, I mean, two of the top 8 players on our list. Landon was 8, Jordan was 6, and I had them higher. I had Jordan at 5 and Landon at 6 on my personal list. And you know, that's probably
you had him at 5. You said
I had Jordan at 5,
okay.
and I had Landon at 6 on my personal list.
There's one specific player I thought Mailata would have came in front of, but he didn't come in. What do you think? 6 is too low for Jordan? I think
I do. I
you had him at
not
5.
a ton. I had him at 5, but you can argue he should be higher. I mean, he's the highest graded player in football by
right.
And part of it is for me, like Jordan will not say that he's better than Lane ever, as long as he lives. And I'm not saying he is. But you can make the argument he is, but he just will not acknowledge that. That's how much respect he has for Lane Johnson. And he will say it's not even close.
And at the surface, isn't he playing a harder position? Left was always looked at as, harder than right.
Or yeah, generally, it's not as much as it was in years past, but it's generally considered still to be the toughest. And then some of the other guys that are ahead of them, skill position players, that factors into it. People are enamored by skill position players. And Jalen Carter's immense talent. Like right now, I mean, if you're just going to say, all right, who had a better season last year? Jordan Mailata certainly had a better season than arguably any of them. But pedigree's still a thing.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You think he's over that hump? I think he might be. I think
I think the All-Pro thing got him over, and I voted for him to be All-Pro, first team All-Pro, by the way. And he should have been first team All-Pro last year, but it is what it is. He got over it, and for him, I mean, got life-changing money twice, and he's happy. And he's happy to be part of this team and be a leader on this team. And again, maybe down the road, it hurts him when you start talking about Hall of Fame trajectory. But other than that, he's already made his money, so I don't think it affects him that much.
Yeah, you talk about the story, John, of him and how incredible the story is. What part of that story do you think is most worthy of extended conversation when the career is done and dusted? What do you think? Will there be a 30 for 30? I mean, what part of it sticks out to you the most?
The ground floor aspect of it. He literally had to be told how to put on his helmet when he started playing football. Why would he know? Was an Australian rugby player.
I'll have to ask Jordan, like, when did it click for you? When did you look and say, I belong in the NFL? Like, I can do this.
I've asked him that question. He one of the funniest things is Joe Osman, who I brought up earlier. For people that remember Joe used to torture Jordan in one-on-ones. Joe was a great pass rusher in college. He was going to play. He was earning on the verge of earning a role when he tore his ACL, and then his career went in a downward trajectory. Jim Schwartz was using him as sort of an inside rusher. He was very undersized, very quick,